Ladies and gentlemen, today on the program, singer-songwriter, artist, entrepreneur, bearded demon. We're talking music, business, humility, and doing it with my dear friend Deni Gauthier. Oh, get your minds out of the gutter. Roll intro. Hello, you're listening to the John Huff Podcast. Oh, yay.
What are we drinking right now?
Some kind of it's not absinthe, but it's it's made in France. It's called Pernod.
Pernod?
Pernod.
It would be Pernod if it had a T on the end, I think.
Yeah.
Pernod.
Maybe, and it's kind of like licorice-y kind of, and it's clear until you pour it into cold water, and then it gets all cloudy and turns kind of greenish.
It's cool.
It's quite the drink for a hot summer afternoon.
Too bad that it's late March in Canada and it's noon on a Tuesday.
Yeah, but it's like -2 out, and we can now go back out in our short sleeve shirts. So it's because it's not as cold as -20.
Deni can. Short sleeves Deni can go out and do that.
Well, the sun feels warm.
The sun feels warm, and that's nice.
And after this podcast, I'm going to go and lay on the asphalt for a bit and just try to soak up some heat.
Just get hot. Just get so hot.
So hot right now.
The problem is that with this particular interview, that you and I know each other so well and have so much inside stuff that it'll be hard to remember that this is for an audience.
That is correct.
But, this is conversations. So you're listening in on a conversation between two road roommates.
Yep. What is the podcast called?
It's the John Huff Podcast. A little truth in advertising.
It's not
right?
John Talks with Cool People?
No.
It can't be anymore because at least 2 of the people you interviewed so far are not cool.
So not cool.
Yeah,
and I've got a whole bunch of people lined up.
Some of them are just not cool.
Just not cool, They're paying me a lot of money. And so as a working drummer, I need that income stream.
Yeah.
Not cool. And I want this to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. You were supposed to be a visual artist. You tell a fun story where you told your wife-to-be that you were going to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
You're a musician. What happened?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I'm playing gigs and getting paid and it just worked out.
You were a musician all along though, right?
I was always a musician, but my talent was firmly planted in the visual arts world.
Yeah.
And I was accepted to OCAD in Toronto, and one of my teachers had to bump my grade up. My English grade had to be bumped up in order for me to be accepted. Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, of course, he's applying to OCAD. Like, we'll just do whatever it takes. So they bumped up my English grade in OAC because I just hated school at that point.
Me too.
Yeah, I got accepted. I went away to a college that taught outdoor pursuits for a while. I ended up getting a job there, and my art career plummeted, but I started playing more music, and I ended up leaving that job and going straight into full-time music.
What's an outdoor pursuit?
I used to teach, an outdoor pursuit is defined by anything that you want to do in the outdoors. Hiking, skiing, whatever. But I taught kayaking, like whitewater kayaking, ice climbing. And my favorite thing to teach was actually Nordic skiing. So I taught skate skiing, classic, a little bit of telemark. And I would go on regular adventures in Mount Washington, and do like avalanche rescue courses and fun things like that.
You grew up in Northern Ontario, right? In the wilds.
I was born in the wilds, my friend. Actually, I was born in Calgary.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was an army brat, and then but my dad grew up in Shiloh. Well, we lived in Shiloh for a while. That was where the army base was. Manitouwadge.
Were you a landscape painter? Were you Monet?
I never did. I had to do some for some projects, and I always hated doing landscapes.
Yeah. When did you start drawing? You were a kid?
Oh, I was a kid, yeah.
Just always drew?
Yep.
Yeah.
Always drew. My mom was a very talented drawer.
Oh, was she?
Drawer.
Drawer.
Yeah. And she still paints and does all that. And my dad, believe it or not, was fairly talented artistically as well.
Yeah.
And I had a teacher in grade 6, 7, and 8. His name was Mr. Thurtle. And I basically just spent 3 years drawing. He'd let me do whatever I want.
Really?
Yeah, so the other kids are doing like paper mache globes. And I was drawing like copying Robert Bateman and Glenn Loach drawings and stuff like that. And,
wow.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. He really taught me a lot.
So then you wound up just playing in bands, and then suddenly it was just like not even a decision to go into music full time. It just sort of evolved, or what happened?
Well, it was. So I was at the college, and I started working in this duo with my good friend, and we were getting lots of gigs. And I think the college felt like I was like betraying them to some degree. Maybe not so much, but I decided to go halftime at the college because I felt like I could do my whole job in half the time anyway.
You were married at this point?
Yes. Yeah. And the rest of the time I was just going to play gigs. So we were living up in Huntsville, and I was playing a lot of shows, and also, doing the college thing, like teaching at the college. And eventually I think they were just like, yeah, we're going to just use interns instead of you. So it was okay. And listen, we were like pregnant with our first child. My dad had just died.
Oh man.
A few months before, and they let us go. And Angie was the registrar at the college.
Oh man. So she lost her gig too.
She lost her gig too.
Oh wow.
Like for no reason. I don't know if anyone's listening that knows anything about this, but
dude, the whole world is listening. I am on par with Rogan already in terms of downloads. So yeah.
But then we were like, I guess it's full-time music then. I was already halftime.
You're just there. It's just like you had to jump.
We just packed up our shit and moved into Angie's mom's basement in Ajax.
Awesome.
And I just cranked it out, man. I was playing like 4 or 5 nights a week at pubs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You just doing covers, or you doing your own stuff?
I was doing a smattering of both, like a mix of both.
From that point, were you like, this is what it's going to be? Or was it like, this will be a temporary until I find something else?
No, I knew it had to be that. Oh yeah, because I don't like jobs. I think I'm unemployable. I joke about that a lot.
Yeah, well, there's a little truth in every joke.
Yeah. And it's not that I couldn't hold a job. I just think it'd be very boring.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Depends on the job.
Yeah.
There's a certain streak in people who are entrepreneurs, which is what you are, and people who try to do art for a living. The people who try to do anything that isn't a regular job for a living, there's a little bit of a rebellious streak in those people where it's like, I can't be tied into something like that.
Yeah.
And that's partly what makes being an artist, for some people, really difficult, because it's like you have this force behind you. It's like, I don't want to do that, but this other thing is not working. So you get stuck in this weird, hard place, which is where I am a lot of the time as a sideman. Were you ever in a position where you felt like this wasn't going to fly?
Nope.
Because you're the type that where you're just like, this is going to work, it's fine.
You know what? Worst case scenario, I can go play 4 nights a week for $300 a night. That's the way I saw it. And like being an artist as well, like artistically, like songwriting is my thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm not suited for bars and pubs.
Right.
But I did, and I can, and I could. So if anything ever went bad, I would just hit the road and just play a ton of bar gigs. Tons.
This is what I like. That's one of the things I like about you, is that it's just this sense of you'll just do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it never even occurs to you that this won't work. You just go and do it. But you're not precious about it either. Like you've learned how to make music a business. Because a lot of people want to make the records and they want to do the art or whatever. But when it comes down to actually having a business and doing the grind, they fall short there.
Yeah, and you have to learn how to sell the thing too.
Right.
Can't sell the thing. You're kind of screwed.
How do you sell the thing?
Well, you do it.
It's not something you think about. You just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah.
You got to get in front of enough people that want to buy your stuff. Like so when I first started doing music, I wasn't very good. I've been doing this now since my daughter was born, and she's 14.
Okay.
14 full-time years of music.
Right.
The years that I played in the pubs, I wasn't actually very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I could go Jenga, 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 real loud and fast, and people liked it.
Right.
Right? But I couldn't play beautifully anything.
Right.
And slowly but surely, I developed some skills, and you sit on some of those skills and they incubate for a while, and then you become better at it, and then you realize, well, I could do it this way. I could change this a little bit.
Yeah.
So the duo thing quit, and I was depressed for a while, and I just, I figured out how to do solo gigs, and I hated them.
Really?
Oh boy,
Okay.
I hated them. They're lonely.
Solo bar gigs.
Solo bar gigs are lonely and boring, but I had to feed family.
Right.
So I just went and did them, and I started looping.
Right.
So that's where I started doing the looping thing, and I wasn't very good at it.
Right.
And then eventually, I guess I got enough recognition from a couple of albums, and I was getting some radio play, and like the hometown thing, like a little bit of recognition here and there and stuff. And I kind of felt like, well, things are going a little better. And I mean, this is more recent in my career. This is like 7-8 years ago.
Sure.
And I started working with a producer who taught me an awful lot about how to be a better listener and how to improve, and how to not play campfire guitar and stuff. And that in that moment, I was just like, okay, I need to make a change. I'm not going to play bars and pubs ever.
You actually made a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Go on, tell me more.
It's like, ain't going to happen, not going to work. So I just started playing like a third of the amount of shows I would play and just charging way more. And I tried really hard to find little theater gigs and house shows and things that I could get paid ticketed money for.
Right.
Which is scary.
Yeah, that must have been, because you're talking about two things. A, it's bread and butter that you're walking away from, even if the bread and butter's not very tasty.
Yep.
And you have to learn about a whole new world. Like you have to find these new places to play.
Yep.
What's your mindset going into something like that?
You just got to do it.
Just got to do it.
I guess we have a theme, because I just couldn't stand the thought of being in a bar or pub anymore.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. I've recently turned down gig offers for, $100 nights at X pub, X bar. And I'm just like, I don't want those gigs anymore. I've done them. And I don't want music to be that.
Well, I was in the same boat, and I wasn't enjoying it, and music should be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And beautiful.
And if it's not fun and beautiful, the audience knows that it's not fun and beautiful for you. And it gets worse. They'll turn on you, or they'll just tune you out, Mind you, in a lot of bar gigs, you're tuned out anyways, but it's like that. If the energy coming off the stage is bad news, it just gets worse out there.
It's really difficult. It can be difficult. But I have that muscle. So if I ever find myself in a bar or a pub, which I do, and I'm not playing with a band, I can crank it hard enough to get noticed.
I've seen you do it in Europe.
Yeah.
Because you open a lot of the shows. For those who don't know, Deni and I play together in the backing band for an artist called Sarah Smith. And we've toured together quite a bit. And sometimes, particularly in Europe, Deni gets to open those gigs as a solo artist. But Sarah's a full band show, and so she plays full band venues, which are not usually the same as singer-songwriter venues. So I've seen you go up in front of a crowd of Germans in some smoky bar and pull them in, man. Like you get them hanging on every word. You do it.
Yeah.
And that's a skill.
Yeah, and I think that's just from playing thousands of gigs. Probably thousands.
Yeah, it has to be by now.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to watch. You can spot a pro a mile away when you see one step up to the stage. But the funny thing is, even at the level you're at in terms of experience, you and I have talked a lot about how you can up your game even further.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Talk a little bit about that, about how you keep evolving as a performer.
I'm trying to get tighter. I'm trying to sing with no mistakes. I can hear all my mistakes. Before I mean, even 8 years ago, I just couldn't hear my mistakes. Now I hear every single one of them.
Do you think a lot of performers don't have that mindset? Like, you're talking about working with Dre, your producer, who taught you how to not play campfire guitar, who brought these things out of you. You had to be willing to take that advice.
Yeah. He tore me down.
Right.
And I had to build my own self back up.
He must have seen something in you worth tearing down.
Maybe. I remember showing him, so we did Quiet Town together, which is the very first album that got real recognition. But it actually divided my fan base.
Really?
Because a lot of my fans wanted me to go in like the rock, the I Am Hope kind of.
Right.
Did you listen to I Am Hope ever?
I've listened to it, yeah.
It's kind of like positive and uplifting and like rocky, right?
Total scam.
Total scam. Quiet Town was the opposite of that.
The real Deni.
Yeah, this is the real me. And it divided my fan base. And I was working on a song called Hold My Hand, which I do quite a bit of looping, and I sent Dre a video of it, and I was so proud of it. I'm like, look what I'm doing, man. I got all these layers in here. And his response was, now you just got to be able to sing it in tune.
Dre is like this legend. Dre is like Pokeroo.
Yeah.
We hear all about Dre, but no one's ever actually seen him, except for Paul Aiken. He's the one guy who's actually, he can verify that Dre exists.
Dre does exist.
But we get all these little nuggets of wisdom, and they're so harsh from Dre, but you've got to have enough. It's weird because you have to have enough self-assurance to accept that criticism and keep going.
Yeah.
But also you have to have enough ego control that you can take the advice in the first place, because a lot of people won't.
Yeah.
Right? And we know people who you can give them wonderful advice and they just ignore it. Right?
Yeah. Well, Dre, let's talk about him. I always talk about him. He really made me what I am.
Yeah.
And when he said, now you got to sing it in tune, I didn't feel bad about it. I was like, I listened to the video and I was like, oh, you're right. I got to make sure those loops are in tune. Otherwise they repeat over and over again. They're out of tune.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Where would you be right now if you hadn't met that guy and gotten that kind of feedback?
I just wouldn't be nearly as good. I don't think I'd have the ears to listen.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've never been one for ego.
It's weird because the thing about you is that you have this confidence. This confidence underlies everything. Everything from when you get up on stage to play for a room full of loud strangers to somebody's got to pull the van out of this tricky spot we're in. Like, you have this confidence that underlies everything, but it's a different thing from ego.
Yeah, I think that, like, because I'm pretty sure I can do anything. But I'm not saying that to make people like me more.
Yeah. Well, normally if you say something like that, people like you less.
Yeah.
Right. So you're obviously not trying to get people to like you more.
No. Well, and I don't care if they like me less either.
Yeah, I know. Because you're Deni Gauthier.
I'm Deni Gauthier.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And then, interestingly enough, the art comes back into it because you've branched off into all these side. Like, you're a little corporation. You and Ange have built this series of businesses that all feed in. So you've got the CD duplication business. You've got T-shirts you're pressing, right?
Yep.
You're doing art for people. You're doing art for yourself too. When did you start pulling all of these things in?
Okay, so back to our earlier conversation, we say sometimes you have these skills and they incubate a bit, right?
Right.
Well, so I bought a duplicator for myself.
I see.
I didn't want to go to Indie Pool and spend $6 for an album per unit type thing. So I bought my own duplicator. It's expensive, but it was about the same cost as doing like a run of CDs.
Right.
Like a lot of CDs.
Right.
But I thought, well, if I get this, I can just print CDs as I need them. And I had my own duper for years and years. And then finally, someone was like, can you do my stuff too? I was like, okay. And it expanded from there. So like short runs, because people just aren't buying CDs like they used to.
Yeah.
The big companies aren't offering the cheaper short runs the same way we can do it.
Right.
And so that happened, right?
Right.
And then I was like, well, I got this nailed down and, I want to sell T-shirts now. So I did a couple designs for me and they sold like hotcakes.
Yeah, your shirts are awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. They so I saw a lot of t-shirts just online too. Not even because people want, people will buy my shirt before my music sometimes. And so the shirts are becoming their own thing. And then I'm doing designs for other people because they like my design. So I'll do more.
And you're doing cover art for people too, right?
Yeah, I've been drawing a lot. Like hand drawn stuff is something that doesn't happen a lot for t-shirts, and
right.
It's usually graphics, right? And album covers and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then there's also the second record, it's the studio, so you're recording people as well.
Well, all that criticism that Dre gave me improved my skills in the studio to the nth degree, because he would take all of my mixes and just critique them and tell me what was going on. He's the kind of guy that can hear what kind of compressor you're using in a mix.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So he spent, I don't know how many hours. And then just being in the studio with Dre for Quiet Town also was education.
I bet.
Every penny that I spent on that album was worthwhile.
For the education.
Yeah. And I'm still paying it off.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it's worth it.
This is interesting. I've been able to, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
I've been able to get a little bit of a sense of it now because I've had access to the new record that you're working on. So I've heard your original demos. I've heard the most recent mixes with Dre's fingerprints all over them, and it's really compelling to watch how these songs are expanding.
Well, he said it best, I think, when he told me that like a team makes a record.
Interesting.
And the ego has to drop, because I want to play all the instruments. And can I? Like, yeah, I can do it, but is it going to be just Deni DNA all over the album?
Right.
Or should I have like, should I let Dre play bass, even though bass is my favorite instrument?
Right.
Well, he should play, of course. There's tracks that I got back where the guitar player played some acoustic parts on it. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not playing acoustic on that song. Like that's just, and that's good.
Yeah.
Because I wrote it and I'm singing on it and I'm going to play other guitar parts. I'm going to do percussion, and there's like, but a team makes a record.
This is also an ego thing, like a lack of ego thing.
Yeah.
Because you're letting other people take this art of yours and manipulate it.
Yeah, it's important.
I know that you've got the final word on things, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But the fact that you're open to this is super refreshing.
Yeah.
Because we know that a lot of people are not, and their work probably suffers for it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it gets very sterile.
I think you get a lot of sameness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear an artist over the course of 2, 3, 4 albums, you'll hear a lot of sameness, not a whole lot of evolution. You hear that quite a bit. I think you hear that in the indie world.
Yep.
Where people are making their own albums, maybe not necessarily working with a producer at all, maybe with an engineer or something like that.
Yeah.
They aren't necessarily willing or have even thought about taking the step to actually have somebody come in who can offer that kind of advice on it. And it might be a step that people are missing to get to that next level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's something that I notice now that I'm more of a sideman and I play with a lot of people. I kind of pay more attention to how things grow or don't grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of fascinated by how an artist gets their career to the next step, because we all work with people who are trying to do that. And it's interesting to watch who breaks through and who doesn't. And I think in a lot of cases, it's the people who can take advice and apply the advice that actually do it.
Yeah. Especially if it's coming from someone who is worthy of taking advice from.
Yeah. But you have a good sense of people. You're Cradar.
I have a Cradar. I can tell. I know what's going on.
You can tell, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, that's a confidence thing too. I mean, at the very end of everything, you have a real trust in your sense of intuition or of a project, right? Yeah. This new album you're working on is shaping up to be more of what sounds like an indie rock album, which would probably surprise a lot of people who've listened to your last couple of records.
Oh, it's going to be surprising.
Tell us more.
Well, it is. It sounds like an indie rock band. And I originally wrote it as like a Sufjan Stevens really pretty thing.
Yeah.
I even sent Dre Sufjan references. And a lot of it was fingerstyle when I sent it to him. and slow. And he was like, "You just did that, man. Didn't you just write Passenger? You just did it. It's a pretty album." And Passenger up until now is like by far my most successful release.
Yeah. That's the way it should go, right?
Yeah. Quiet Town had way better production, is a more interesting album, I think, but Passenger was better songs.
Interesting. Okay.
I think I really worked on the new music. The songs are better. And in order to like go into the next level, well, my idea was that I would do something really pretty and beautiful with better songs. That's just my goal, to try to evolve and tell a better story. And Dre was like, "Nah, I think we're gonna do like an Elliott Smith thing on this.
Awesome.
Like, look at how pretty he is, and his voice and his guitar, but then you put drums behind it. It's like angsty underneath this pretty thing, you know? So that's what's happening.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's always a weird thing because you are Deni, you look like you do, with beard, tattoos, the whole sleeve, you know, you've got the kind of this ruggedness about you. And knowing you as I do, I know your sensibilities. And yet the songs that come out are these quiet, beautiful, romantic, insightful things. Yeah. It's really funny. I love this dichotomy. It's great. The new record's got a little more balls behind it.
Yeah, it's going to have some muscle.
Party Boy's coming out.
Party Boy's showing up, yo, in the house.
Party Boy is Deni at midnight after a gig.
Yeah.
And you're never quite sure what might happen if Party Boy emerges.
A couple of beers in, adrenaline still flowing.
A couple of red wines.
You're heading back to the hotel room, and there's like flagstone sidewalks, and
you want to play hopscotch on them?
It's time to run or something.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. What's the road schedule looking like these days? This is the other side of it, because you go out on tour quite a bit.
Yep.
You got a wife and 4 kids at home. Mm-hmm. How does that work?
I just play a lot of shows, and I'll organize tours as well. But I'm just playing a lot. It's going to be a super busy summer. Yeah. I generally January, February are kind of slow for me, like by design. And March was kind of like I'm still writing and drawing and preparing. I'm like doing like a book for this album and stuff. So I'm not playing a whole lot, but the gigs are piling up for the summer.
For the summertime.
For late spring, yeah.
What's the longest you would normally go out on the road?
I think the longest I've been out is 6 weeks.
Yeah. That's a bit of an anomaly, isn't it? Do you normally go out that long?
I generally am out in the States for 3 to 4.
It has to, if you're going to go that far, it's got to be, you have to make it worthwhile, I guess.
Yeah. In Canada, I don't really have to. Like, I don't call it a tour. Like, I don't have to book Mondays and Tuesdays. I just book Thursdays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll just go out and then come back and then go out and come back.
It's interesting, though, because it's difficult to have a family at home and go out and do that. Like, if you're going out 4, 5, 6 weeks.
They can't wait.
They love it when you go?
They love it when I go.
Why is that?
I come home with chocolate and stuff.
For the kids, it's all they've ever known, right?
Yeah, it's all they've ever known. And to be fair, same with Ange. We got married, came back from our honeymoon, and I went on a 3-week canoe trip the day we got back.
Really?
Oh yeah, like it's always been me out somewhere doing something.
Yeah, and she's cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up like that.
Yeah, I guess.
You know?
I guess.
Essentially, we were kids when we got married.
Yeah, you were young.
Uh-huh.
I was young too.
Uh-huh.
And then I don't think we had a long distance relationship all the way until the day we got married.
Oh, wow.
We never lived in the same town.
Did you guys meet on Tinder?
Yeah, that's right. 1992 Tinder, which is a bulletin board somewhere.
Yeah.
You hung up a poster. You had to cross out certain parts of your anatomy.
Yeah.
So then we got married, and then we were probably never apart for longer than a day or two for 15 years until I started playing music again. So this is still a relatively new thing for us.
It's good.
Yeah. It's fine. It's just new.
Yeah.
That's all, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've made it part of the lifestyle, and the kids like it when you go away. So, hey.
I don't, they're a little sad.
Yeah.
It's not like...
I've seen them when you get home.
Yeah, they love it when I come home.
That's like a heartwarming thing when Sarah's van pulls up in front of whoever's house.
Yeah.
And then Anne shows up and all the kids tumble out of the van and run across the street and jump on you.
Remember last time we were out for 4 weeks?
Yeah.
My son grew a foot.
That's
he was like
right.
a foot taller. I was like, what? Who's the man coming? What? That's my boy.
Hello, Father.
Hello, Father. It's your son, Ethan. I have my gun license and I'm driving already.
And I'm starring in a production of Beauty and the Beast.
I just shaved my beard. So you wouldn't be too shocked when you saw me again.
Your kids are artists.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Well, suppose they want to go into art as a career. What do you tell them?
Do whatever you want. Do it. But you're going to die soon anyway. I say those words.
That's the Gary Vaynerchuk thing. Do you follow Gary V?
No.
Oh, you should check out Gary V.
Yeah.
Gary V's like this huge popular influencer motivator guy.
Yeah.
And there's a famous clip of him on YouTube. He's like huge deal. Like people, everybody knows except for you who Gary V is. And so people are like stopping him in the street, right? They want advice and whatever. And so he like pulls up to the curb in this car and he's in the passenger seat, I think. This girl's like knocking on the window and he rolls it down and she's like, give me your best advice in 3 words. And he looks at her and says, you're going to die.
Yeah, yes.
That's it.
It's true.
You're going to die.
It's true, you're going to die. We're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
It's a Sufjan song where he sings that at the end over and over. We're all going to die. My kids sing it all the time. You're going to die. What are you going to do? You're going to work at a shitty job for the rest of your life? And like, well, some people like that. Do it. Do whatever you like. Maybe that affords you a boat and an RV or something. You like doing that.
Yeah, some people don't care if their job is their passion.
Yeah. Some people don't care.
And that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. If you can do that, awesome.
Dude, you can live a beautiful life.
Oh, yeah.
Just, working a job, an honorable thing is just to go to work every day and come home to your family. It's a beautiful thing. Just to survive and to take care of your family and to save money. Some of us are ill-equipped for that.
Yeah.
You need adventure. I need adventure.
Yeah.
You know what we're doing now?
What?
We're going to buy a bus.
What kind of a bus?
Medium short bus.
You told me that you wanted to do that.
We're doing it.
So what's going to happen to the bus?
We're going to gut it.
Yeah.
We're going to put flooring down, like nice laminate, like acrylic, or like, the durable stuff. We're going to put bunks in the back.
Yeah.
Have a big lounge area that's like also a dining area.
Yeah.
And a kitchenette. I'm going to put racks on the top and like put a patio on the top so you can like climb up to the top of the roof and sit on the patio. I'm not even kidding.
I know you're not kidding. That's what's funny.
And we're going to paint it like flat black, put an AC heater unit on the top so we can have a little bit of climate control. And
Nice.
I'm out of here.
Where are you going to go? You going to pack everybody up and split?
I don't know. I think that like I'm always the happiest when I'm in a vehicle and I'm pointed in a new direction.
Right.
And like we have a tent trailer, we go camping with the kids and stuff, but it's like that's so fun. But imagine we could just like point anywhere and just go and stealth camp places and like hit beaches and keep going the next day and like tour through the States with this sort of thing. I'd love it.
I know. I can tell. And
Yeah.
we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way when we're on the road.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like I love just, even if we're driving to some little town in the Netherlands
Mm-hmm.
that nobody's ever heard of before,
Mm-hmm.
it's great.
It's great.
It's awesome.
It's exhilarating.
And some people, like I tell them about touring and people are like, oh man, I wouldn't want to wake up in a different bed every night, in a different town every day. It's like, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, you would.
it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
It's the best.
Yeah.
There's a quote that you gave us for the November book that I wrote about our first tour in Europe. And I headed each chapter with a quote from the day before or whatever from somebody. And one of your quotes was, if you make music for a living, you're an animal.
Oh, yeah.
It's primal.
Yeah, it is kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like getting on that road and not knowing where you're going or what's coming.
Yeah.
There's a magic in that.
There is magic in that.
Yeah.
And you're going to die. So if you like doing that, just go and do it.
Go and do it.
Do it.
Get a bus.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Get a bus.
Don't wait.
Got a bus.
What if you wait too long and die before you get a chance?
Dude, that happens all the time.
I know.
I'm going to go do this when I retire. And then they turn 65, or more likely 68 these days.
Yeah.
They finally get it, and you can't do it. It's over.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard of somebody who gets terminal cancer and then they go travel because they've never been able to travel.
Right. That's a sad thing.
Sad. It's really sad.
I know.
Terminal cancer is sad. And the fact that they haven't traveled their entire life, even though that's all they've ever wanted to do, and they had to wait till this moment.
Yeah.
Now it's bittersweet.
It is, I know. And there's this like dark cloud kind of hanging over it.
It's scary.
Remember the girl we met in the airport in Toronto in the lounge? She was serving us drinks.
Yeah.
Her name was Monique.
She's still out traveling.
She is.
I know.
We met this girl. We were heading to Europe to tour. And this girl was serving us drinks. And she was just like the bubbliest, most vibrant person. And we were telling her where we were going. And she's like, hey, I'm quitting my job this week so I can go travel the world. That's what I wanted to do. We're like, seriously? She's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she is. I've been following her on Instagram for the past 5 months or whatever it's been. And she's been all over the place, all over Spain and Europe. Yeah. I'm going to get her on the show.
Oh, you should.
I'm totally going to get her on the show.
She was a sweetheart.
Monique, if you're listening, contact me and we'll figure it out.
She won best hair of the tour.
She had good hair.
Yeah.
Big, poofy, like afro kind of hair. It was awesome. She was great. So, look, man, this is what we do on this show. We end with 3 questions.
Okay.
And they're not fun questions, but they're important.
Okay.
So, as this is kind of a personal development podcast, I ask everyone, what are you working on about yourself these days?
What am I working on about myself these days?
Yeah.
We had some darkness happen to us, like in my family a little bit. We won't go into any details, but I have a tendency to turtle a little bit.
Really?
A little bit. You don't see it because the thing that I'm usually working on, and this has been for many years, is I do it now. I will now. And if I ever get into like a place in my life where I feel like I'm not motivated or I'm feeling really kind of gross and I don't feel like working, I just start saying to myself, like from the moment I get up, like, I don't want to get up in the morning. Do it now.
Right.
I'll get up right now because I have stuff to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. If the things that are important to you and things that need to get done, do it now. And just force yourself to do it. Like right from brushing your teeth to like getting the oil change done on the car to like asking for forgiveness for something or all that stuff.
There's a motivational person called Mel Robbins. I don't know if you know her.
Mm-mm.
She's kind of in the Gary Vee mold. Like she's an influencer. She's at that level. She's actually she's working on a talk show that's about to hit television soon.
Cool.
She's really cool. I really like her. And she has a thing called the 5-second rule.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And the gist of it is, if there's an impulse you have to do something, you have to do it within 5 seconds or you'll lose it.
Do it.
You'll talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
If it's to pitch something to somebody, which I did yesterday to a guest that it looks like I'm going to be able to have on the show, which is a big deal for me. Sometimes it's just getting out of bed. She's like, you launch yourself out of bed. You count down from 5.
Yeah,
4,
do one of those ninja flip kick things.
1, you're out, and your day is already launched with this kind of momentum.
And then make your bed.
Right, and then make your bed. It's the same concept. Sometimes you've got to talk yourself into it.
Yeah.
So you're working on that.
Yeah.
Next question. What are you most excited about right now, apart from the absinthe?
Yeah. I am most excited about just being able to create more.
Yeah.
I've been drawing way more. It looks like I'm doing a booklet for the new album.
What's that going to be like?
It's going to be weird art. Each song is going to have art, my original chord voicings, and also the edited chord voicings as we move through it. Like we change some things. All the lyrics, a little bit of a story, and then handwritten lyric.
That'd be great.
So each song has 3 pages of stuff.
Wow.
And the one page is like a full-blown, you know that weird sketchy black art that I've been doing?
Yeah. If you go to, where can people see your art?
Deni.me gets you everywhere.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I've seen things pop up on Instagram and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will link to all of that in the show notes for this. So you can actually, people can go and see, because your art is cool, but it is very weird sometimes.
It's weird and dark, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. I dig it though.
I hesitate to even drop it because sometimes people see me in the, he's a positive, happy, go lucky type guy all the time. And I kind of am, but there's also darkness in there. Like it comes out in my art. And a lot of time in my lyrics.
It's in your songs for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sing a lot about death.
Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah.
That thing you wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that.
So we're creating more art. We have a new album coming out this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch for that. And the last question is, what's your message to my audience today, Deni Gauthier?
Don't be a dick.
How do you define that?
I say this a lot at my shows. Like, you get up every day and you have the opportunity to be nice or not.
Right.
You know, if your coffee isn't done right at the coffee shop that you go to, and you can choose to be upset, or you can choose to be nice about it. You can choose to be nice about the person in front of you who stopped for a little bit too long at the stop sign, you know. And like all of this, like our blood boils over like the little things.
The stupidest things.
Stupid little things. And then like to be aware of it and to be conscious when you realize that you're upset about something that makes no difference.
Yeah.
3 weeks from now, then you can consciously choose to not do that.
There's a line that I love from the first Terminator movie.
Yeah.
Remember the first Terminator movie?
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Was that the one?
That's the line, yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks.
Tune in
guys.
next time.
Great podcast.
There's a line where Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor, is working as a waitress, right? And it's this dumpy diner joint. It's terrible, right? She's got her like pink waitress uniform on. And there's the apron has a pocket. And something spilled or something. She's cleaning it up. It's all frantic. And this kid in the next booth has got a ball of ice cream on a spoon, reaches over, dumps it into her pocket. And she just sort of stops and looks at herself and looks at the kid. And her coworker leans over and says, "Look at it this way. In 100 years, who's going to care?"
Yeah.
I remember that all the time about dumb stuff that happens out there that you get that lights you up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, in 100 years, who's going to care?
Man, I tell my kids that all the time. They get in a fight. Like, are you even going to remember this when you're 40?
Yeah. 40?
It makes no difference.
People get so worked up about stuff, man. And that's an ego thing. Like people personalize everything, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that I work on too. Like just cutting people more slack.
Yeah.
Being nice. Because what you know, as they say, what you put out comes back to you. If you want conflict in your life, go out there and be a conflict-oriented sort of person, and you'll get it.
Oh, you'll get it.
Plenty of it.
You know, like when people get mad because they get passed on the highway?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, he must be in a rush.
like that happens all the time. I used to get like a little bit mad. You're on a 2-lane highway somewhere and someone passes you, right? You're like,
Oh, what's a rush?
Yeah.
I just assume that they're all going home to rescue their dog in a burning house fire now.
That's so generous of you, man.
Yeah, they're just in a rush. They're trying to get to the hospital or something.
I try to just let it go, man. Like it's got nothing to do with me. Almost nothing has anything to do with you.
Yeah, almost nothing.
Right? And there's almost nothing to get upset about.
Plus, you're all going to die anyway.
Plus, you're going to die. Gary Vee says it. Deni G says it. You're all going to die.
Yeah.
Deni Gauthier, thanks so much for doing this, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure, buddy.
And we'll have you on again probably sometime.
Yes.
All right. We're going to go on tour later, so you're going to be all over that.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
All right. Say goodbye, Deni.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Thank you once again, gentle listeners, for tuning into today's show. Thank you as well to Deni, not only for stopping by, but for providing both the intro music and the art for this podcast. If you want to know more about my guests, go to john-huff.com. That's JOHN-HUFF.com. You can also find the show on Facebook at The John Huff Podcast. If you like what you hear, then, as the great King's X said, go tell somebody. Also, please leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. That's all for this week, but we'll be back really soon. Until then, keep your wits about you, and remember, good things happen when you put yourself out there. Bye for now. We're all gonna die, gonna die, gonna die, gonna die, gonna die, gonna die, yeah.